Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Jetty, and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to talk about some unpopular opinions that I found on Reddit about natural hair. These are just users that wanted to basically put their opinions out there, their unpopular opinions that I guess they feel like more so are bandwagon points within the natural hair community. And yeah, I thought it was a really fun section, so I thought we could just go through it together and kind of see what we agree with, what we don't, and yeah, go from there. So without further ado, stick around, okay? Okay, so the poster started out with saying, I know some opinions may strike a nerve, but that's the point. She said, it is meant to be unpopular. Not everyone's hair is the same, and some people may find that the popular hair practices and advices are not for them. Thank you for keeping it respectful. That being said, if you are newly natural, this is not the first place to seek advice. Clearly, because it might be a little bit discouraging. She continued to say her unpopular opinions are that I see many people coming here asking about hair type. I don't know. I don't think that matters. I tried to reason that maybe people just want to know how they can take care of their hair, but even with that, it's more important to know whether you have fine or coarse hair, high or low porosity, and high or low density. I definitely agree with that. She said deep conditioning doesn't do anything unless if you're using protein or heat. I've tried every deep conditioner under the sun and can get the same feeling results of using a deep conditioner by using a leave-in moisturizing hair cream. The only exception is that when I use a deep conditioner with protein or I use heat with my deep conditioners. And another unpopular opinion that she had is that heat is good for your hair in moderation. I spent 2 years avoiding heat. The minute I incorporated blow drying every 2 months and with my deep conditioners, my hair journey became easier and my hair has grown longer. It's better to dust than trim or cut your hair. And then she went on to ask what are other people's unpopular opinions. So I definitely agree with her on the fact that she said the hair typing thing. You guys know how I feel about that. I feel like it excludes people. It creates inferiority complexes within the natural hair community, and so I don't subscribe to that. Deep conditioning, I think conditioning is important. Do you have to use a deep conditioner? No, I don't believe so. I believe you can use your regular conditioner that you use every week and call it a day. So I do believe in conditioning your hair. I just don't believe that you have to actually go get a separate deep conditioner for it. But she's saying she doesn't believe in it. She says a moisturizing hair cream, which I will say, when I used to use the As I Am line, they had a leave-in conditioner that after I shampooed my hair, I would put that in my hair and it would feel just like a conditioner. I would just go straight into my leave-in after shampooing. So you can do that and get good results. And like I told you guys, I usually leave my conditioners, like I'll shampoo my hair, shampoo it twice, rinse out the shampoo, apply conditioner, detangle, and then leave, I'll rinse apply conditioner, and then rinse that after I detangle and everything, and then I'll leave a little bit of conditioner in my hair, and that will work as my leave-in. So I do agree that if you have a conditioner that you like to use after you shampoo, you can literally use it as a leave-in. Or like she said, you can just go straight in with a product labeled as a leave-in as long as it's moisturizing enough, and just use that as your conditioner, or as your leave-in conditioner / conditioner, and call it a day, and it'll work just fine. So I do agree with that. Okay, so another controversial opinion that got 91 likes. Some of our favorite natural hair gurus are leaning heavily on genetics while they are peddling snake oil to us. That's interesting. Okay, so to me that's a little hard to say, because what if you're a hair guru that never knew you could grow your hair that long, first in your family to grow your hair that long? You know what I mean? I don't think that in that circumstance that is someone trying to be dishonest, because I mean, how does one really know that like their hair grows only because of their genetics? And to be honest, at this point, like, what does that even really mean? Take the same girl with the same background, maybe the same, texture hair, whatever, as the next girl. And if one girl is able to grow her hair longer, maybe with the right techniques and practices, and the other one is not, is it really genetics, or could it be techniques and practices that may be a little bit different? So that's why I always say, guys, be careful with when you hear people say, oh, I'm trying to grow my hair, but it's just not working, because you don't know what these people do to their hair 24/7, right? So sometimes people write me and they say, I'm trying to grow my hair. What am I doing wrong? And I'm like, okay, well, you have to write out your whole routine for me. And then I find out they don't have a routine, and it's like, that's probably kind of a problem too. Because let me tell you something. Everybody with longer hair has a routine. Everybody with healthy hair has a routine. They may not look at it like that, right? But they have some sort of routine. Even with people with let's say unhealthy hair or not longer hair, they even have a routine. It's just that the routine is not working if they're trying to grow their hair. But everybody has a routine, and sometimes whatever is within that routine could be impeding someone from getting to the standards or to the goals that they have. I would say it's hard to say like it's heavily on genetics. Now, if I saw a family of women and they just all had hair down to the floor and like, then I would say, oh, it's probably genetics. But I just feel like in the black hair community right now, it's hard to say for a lot of people it's genetics, because a lot of people don't, I'm just speaking from what I see in my experience, is a lot of people don't have those type of hair insposed in their family. They just don't. So it's kind of hard to say genetics, in my opinion. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think that it's just genetics, or do you think it's a combination of both? You already know I say technique, not hair products, technique, okay? Because you can make your hair products at home, and if you have the right techniques, your hair will thrive. You can go to the store and buy all the popular healthy hair products and not have the techniques, and your hair will not thrive. That is all I'm saying. So anyways, moving along, let's go to the next person. Okay, so one user wrote, and this seems to be a guy. He says, your natural hair can look busted without it being anti-black. Back in 2010, I swore my parents were brainwashed by European beauty standards for saying my scalpy shea butter twist outs were a mess. Now that I can style my hair, I realize that yes, I actually was a mess. And just like with any skill, you have to practice to get better. I also realized that not every single style is for everybody. I look like I'm balding with twist outs, but I look like I have a thick head of hair with wash and froze. Not wash and goes, wash and froze. Okay, so let's unpack this. I feel like we've all dealt with the parents. I feel like when I first, or not even just like our parents, but like when I first went natural, I was looked at as like, what are you doing? Not just by my parents, but just like family members in general, people I knew in general. So what he's saying is that someone can say that your hair looks a mess without being anti-black. Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, because there's some styles that I used to wear that I'm just like, I look back at pictures and I was just like, why did somebody let me walk around like this? Like, why didn't somebody tell me that this was not working for me? So yeah, you can definitely say that natural hair, a style, looks a mess without being anti-black. Definitely. And I think that you can also tell the difference too, because I think it depends on what are the intentions behind that comment, right? Like if somebody's just saying, no, relax, straight hair looks better, and it's not acceptable, and it's the difference between someone just kind of like being ignorant about natural hair versus someone just saying like, hey, what happened? Because I tried the whole twist out thing and it just didn't work for me. At first, when you do the twist, they look very nice for me. I'm not a good twist out or twist person, but like at first when you do the twist, they look very nice, but over the next few days, mine used to start looking a little bit rough, and I didn't know where I was going wrong. It probably was my technique. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just not good at like a lot of those styles. I've never been a good styler. Even when my hair was relaxed, I've never been a good styler. I've always just kind of did like a little 1-2 and kept it moving. I never tried to do anything too intricate. So yes, I agree with that. And he continued to say, now that I have learned to style my hair, I realized that yes, I was actually looking like a mess. And just like with any skill, you have to practice to get better. So yeah. I think that's interesting. Someone else said, LOC, so that's the liquid oil cream method, and then you have the liquid cream oil, is the main cause of dry, brittle hair. Oil is not a moisturizer. All it does is block any moisture when penetrating the hair after styling, which is why so many will use a leave-in spray during the week to refresh. Okay, she got some replies on this one. Someone said, I wish I read this 4 years ago. And she said, I found out the hard way. There will always be exceptions, but if your hair is coarse, kinky, or both, it's a kryptonite. I feel like this, someone else says, I feel like this works for some, but not all. Just my personal opinion. Some people need a good protein treatment. She said, I think that's why it's the name liquid oil cream though. The oil goes after the leave-in to lock in the moisture. The liquid oil cream method is not beneficial to those who live in humid climates, but many of us live in drier climates, which tends to take away moisture and feed it into the air, which is why the LOC method is beneficial for some people who fall in that sector. Definitely. So what we have to be careful about, especially like in the natural hair community, is that some of these methods were made for people that live in certain climates. Some of these hair products are made for people who live in certain climates. One being is hyaluronic acid, right? Hyaluronic acid is very good for your skin, but mostly, especially in the dry winter. And why it's so good for dry skin or possibly dry hair is that in the winter, when it's very cold out, the air is very dry and it's harsh, the hyaluronic acid pulls out moisture from the air and brings it into your skin or brings it into your hair, right? Therefore, attracting moisture onto your skin, and if you use it in your hair. It's beneficial to know, in nursing, this would be called the pathophysiology behind a lot of this, because then you understand how it could work for some people, right? Just like you have things called the greenhouse method, and that used to be a method where some people who had very dry hair would sleep overnight with a conditioner or a very moisturizing leave-in in their hair, and they would put like a plastic bag or a plastic cap on and kind of allow their hair extra time to get moisture overnight. And for some people, that head start on moisture or moisture boost is what they needed once or twice a week. So it all just kind of comes down to, but these are unpopular opinions, and like I respect it, definitely. I never was really into like the whole liquid oil cream method, but I do believe like when washing my hair in the shower, I will obviously shampoo, water, get all that water in there, and then I'll moisturize with a conditioner, leave in a little bit conditioner, and I do sometimes like to take a serum and put that heavy serum on top of all of it, hoping that yes, it will lock in something in my hair. Now, obviously that is when I wear my hair mostly in its natural state, and that just kind of helps to keep it moisturized throughout the week or whatever, or till the next time I wash my hair. And then when I go to wash my hair, all those kind of like slide out of my hair, make it very silky and soft, and I am able to actually detangle before I start shampooing. So there's a method to the madness. Again, it's just knowing the background and the whys of why people use certain techniques over another. Someone wrote, her unpopular opinion is that dirt grows our hair. It's horrible advice, and I really regret ever believing that. And someone said, yeah, it's not your fault. What started out as an excessive shampooing leads to dryness and breakage. Went through a bad game of telephone, and here we are with this bad translation. The whole dirt grows our hair. I want to say a lot of people just think that leaving your hair alone for certain extended periods of time adds to the possibility of it growing longer because it's low manipulation. But I have heard that some people are like, yeah, dirty hair grows better. But I honestly, and they may see an increase in growth. I think the increase that they're seeing in growth is actually just low manipulation. And so because you're not touching your hair, you're not doing anything to it, and you're not washing it or anything like that, it leads to length retention. But dirt does not grow your hair, and dirty hair does not grow better than clean hair. I will say, like, after years of going to Dominican salons, one thing that they taught me Because anybody, if you ever go get your hair done in a Dominican salon, you know when they shampoo, they shampoo. I mean, you get a clarifying shampoo. I mean, oh my gosh. You're like, I used to remember just sitting there like, how come they can shampoo my hair and strip it so much and it cooperates with them, but not me? But I started to apply the same principles at home, meaning shampooing twice or even 3 times sometimes when I do shampoo, just to really get my hair clean, and then conditioning. And I found that my hair would be so much more manageable. So I'm gonna go ahead and say clean hair is more manageable. Dirty hair tends to break more and is a little bit more fragile. Okay, so another user wrote, I'm willing to listen and take advice from someone who has short hair before taking advice from someone who has back length hair with see-through ends. I'm all about health over length in my journey. And then another point she made is, if oily and greasy is what moisturized hair feels like, I don't want any parts of it. LOL. Then she said, hair typing should be used for aesthetic purposes only, to see how, for example, a wash and go could possibly look in your hair. She says, porosity serves no purpose in knowing everybody's hair accepts water. If your hair is clean, of course. What's the fun in having hair if we're so scared to touch it to the point we don't even wash it regularly, all in the name of manipulation and breakage? And then so someone said, what about when your hair cuticle is naturally lifted, high porosity? I've put a dirty strand of hair from a brush, rinsed dried product off, blotted it, and the strand was greasy as heck. Dropped it in a cup of water and it still sank in 1 minute. People with hair like mine need to use ample amounts of protein if they want to retain length. And then someone else, the same poster, she said, I just don't think it matters. Rather my cuticles is lifted or not, I wash my hair 1 to 2 times a week with shampoo, condition, and style. It's just my opinion. No one cared about porosity until people started steering away from properly cleansing their hair regularly. Again, it's just my opinion. Someone else replied, porosity definitely matters. A person with low porosity hair literally won't absorb product or water if they don't use a heat to open the pores of the strands. That's science. It's no different from getting a steamed face treatment at the dermatologist or spa in order for the pores to open so that the products can actually absorb. It says you can literally spritz cool or room temp product on low porosity hair and you'll see droplets just sit on the strand and roll off. Sounds like you may have normal porosity hair and just never had to take note of it. But knowing porosity for individuals who are on either end of the spectrum is very important. And then so again, the poster says the topic was unpopular opinions. This was just my unpopular opinion. Aww. And she was like, yeah. Someone replied, yeah, I get that, and you're definitely entitled to that opinion, but I do hope that people who are struggling with their hair actually come across this convo and read and learn that there is in fact based science way to think about the porosity thing. More power to your opinion though. Good luck on your hair journey. Oh, okay, well that ended nice. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go with those replies. Porosity definitely does matter, and for a person who is low porosity like me, it does matter. Probably has a big, in my last video I told you guys, when I went natural, the same products I used to use on my relaxed hair were not working on my now natural hair, and a lot of that probably had to do with porosity, right? When you put chemicals in your hair, it changes your porosity. If you bleach your hair or lift your hair in color, it will change the porosity. So you absolutely have to understand that. And the more porous your hair is, the more times you will have to add moisture to it, because just as fast as, let's say, moisture gets in the strand, it can leave the strand. And that's why you have things like the LOC method, because a lot of times these ladies who are using these heavy oils to keep moisture in their hair, a lot of times they're high porosity because they lose moisture just as fast as they put it in. Which one benefit to having low porosity hair is because it's so hard for your hair strand to open, when you put moisture in the strand, it typically stays, because it's like it's not gonna open up again until it is exposed to like heat or steam or something like that. Then your cuticles will tend to open, and that is why I would say we suffer from, like, especially like in humid climates, our hair can revert very, very easily. My hair will revert like this. I'm gonna have to disagree with that, but these are unpopular opinions, and Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but yeah, it definitely matters, especially if you are a chemical user, because you need to know, like, you have to stay on top of your moisture. You do have to also alternate and stay on top of your protein, and it's not bad, it's easy. One great line for that, you guys know I'm always going to advocate for L'Oreal. L'Oreal has a lot of protein in it, and water obviously gives you a lot of moisture, so there's your moisture right there. But it also has a lot of moisture as well. I think that when my hair was bleached, one thing that the L'Oreal line did for my hair is it kept it balanced, and I think that's why I was able to also to grow my hair out without a problem, because the protein kept my hair in check and balance with moisture. Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with that one. The hair typing for aesthetic purposes, I think that's interesting. I never thought about it like that. Yeah, like, you know, aesthetically, you know, okay, but I still just, hair typing is just, I don't like it. So somebody else posted, I think a little damage is okay, lol. Don't get me wrong, if you have extreme heat damage or split ends or just very unhealthy hair, work on it. But if your hair is average, fairly healthy, I don't think you need to constantly worry about breakage. Like, it's okay to have your hair out and touch it sometimes. If it breaks, just trim it and move on. Hair grows back. I don't know, I'm just starting to enjoy my natural hair, and I feel silly for having always kept it in braids. It's just so much more freeing having my real hair out. Oh, I definitely agree with her on that. And someone said, I felt this. I got a silk press about 6 months ago, and I could tell my curls suffered just a bit. It felt good just to have a so what attitude. I continued on with my regular routine, and guess what? Everything was fine. And then the original poster said, exactly, I recently took out my box braids and I had some unusually bad breakage. Didn't take proper care of my hair after a few beach days. It sucked, but I took it out and moved on. My hair still feels and looks good, so I'm not stressing over it. Just gonna do a wash and go for a couple of months while it grows out. Our hair is easy when we don't overcomplicate it. Someone said, braids may actually damage your hair depending on porosity. All extensions damaged out my hair while I was following the protective style crew. It grew, but had to cut it off a dozen inches in a mid-shaft and inches of mid-shaft splits. Oh shit, oh my god, mid-shaft splits are terrible. I hate them. She said, to each their own. I think braids are fine if you know how to properly take care of them, but like any style, if you don't, then it'll cause damage. And did you do anything to moisturize them while you had them in? If so, how often? And then original poster said, yes, I kept them in 4 to 5-ish weeks, moisturized it with leave-ins. It was more about the synthetic hair rubbing against mine, causing split ends. I think kinky hair physically sliced my own hair off. Oof. So one thing that a lot of people don't know, be careful with some of these hair products, well, hair brands used for braiding, because it can, just like cotton, it can suck the moisture right out of your hair. Because if they're putting like the braiding hair, sometimes it's like synthetic and it's like really dry. Think about, you're putting inches and inches of that in your hair, and that hair is like parched, so it's taking any moisture from your hair into that hair. That's what I would imagine happens. I agree with her when she says I think a little bit of damage is okay. I don't think anybody's gonna have 100% grade A healthy hair. I mean, some people maybe, but like with pollution, with the chemicals in our water, God forbid, the chemicals in our hair products, the chemicals in what we eat, like, come on, have this perfect head of hair without one single split in, and you know, it's just gonna be so perfect. Like, that's, yeah, it's okay, guys. It's okay to get a little bit of heat damage. It's okay, you know, to get a little bit of damage. It grows back. You cut it, it grows. You cut it, it grows. That's my thing. You shouldn't constantly worry about breakage. But I will say this, when you first become natural after being relaxed for a while, and when you realize, like, once you become natural and you see your hair and you realized how much your relaxed hair was breaking, as opposed to your natural hair, it is a little bit like eye-opening. I would just see all these little pieces of tiny hairs all over the sink anytime I would brush or comb it. That's not natural, okay? And so when I became natural and I realized the difference, it is quite traumatizing, and I do understand how some people kind of go into overdrive to make sure it doesn't happen again. So someone said your hair routine should not take over 2 hours maximum in an entire week. Wash and goes are the way to go. Type 4 hair can do anything the other hair types can do. You agree? I feel like your hair, unless you're like blow drying, straightening, if you have a lot of hair, I mean, what can you do? It's going to take some time. But like, as far as I told you guys, detangling and washing and all of that from beginning to end, 30 to 35 minutes tops. Okay, that's it, tops. I'm not gonna be in the shower for 8 hours. I'm not doing it. She said wash and goes are the way to go. You know how I feel about that. I'm just like over wash and goes. And she said type 4 hair can do anything that the other hair types can do. Absolutely. And I will go on to say, like, all black hair, no matter what hair type, it can all do what other, you know, hair can do. Our hair can grow just as long. Hair, period, no matter whose scalp it's on, no matter what color the person is. Hair has very basic, similar structure. So no matter what, like, all hair is the same in a sense, like the basic of it, like the structure of it. Now, of course, the way it coils, the way it bends, all of that texture is a little different, but like the basics of it, right? Being made out of keratin, that type of stuff, like it's universal. So that's why I tell you guys, like, one thing I learned to do with my hair in the shower is to stretch it out. Okay, my hair shrinks and it coils around itself, so I have to mechanically, with my hands, stretch it out while I'm detangling it. So then that way I don't rip out my hair, and guess what? It's fine. So, you know, there are some basic things about hair that is the same universally. It's just sometimes that we have to do things a certain way to tweak or have our hair adapt to what we need to do. So I stretch my hair out so that I can make it adaptable to detangling safely, and it works. So, you know, I agree with that. Someone said, I'm so sorry, but when I straighten my hair, it's so much less of a hassle. If I could keep it straight without damaging it or without a relaxer, I do it most of the time. Sorry. I agree. Sometimes I straighten my hair to get a break. And that's just because I'm tired of braids. I'm tired of, you know, whatever, a top knot bun. Sometimes I just want to have it out of the way. So when I'm not filming, if my hair is like this, honestly, it'll be like in a ponytail or in like a little bun. Mostly it'll just be in a ponytail out of my face or in a claw clip, but it's out of my face and it's out of the way. And it's easy and I don't have to do much to it. So I agree with her. That might be an unpopular opinion for some people because they believe that heat is the Antichrist. And someone said, hello, not sure where you're from, but does this routine change at all during the summer or humidity? She said, so I usually straighten my hair once a month and leave it straight for about a week and a half. I live in New York, so the humidity is usually not too bad. And then the person said, thank you. Someone said, just because your hair is natural does not mean that it looks professional or presentable at all times. People of other races also need to style and brush their hair before going out. I mean, this is going to be to each their own. I think this. But what is professional? What is presentable? And by whose standards are we talking? And we really just have to be careful with those words because, again, by whose standards are we talking? By whose standards? You know, I just want to know. I think it's a very personal thing. I understand that's an unpopular opinion, of course, but it's by whose standards? That's who we first have to ask. By whose standards? Someone said, I think both conditioning and deep conditioning are a waste. I just use a deep conditioner. I still use hair grease. I found my scalp was still itchy and dry when I tried to use hair oils. For me, less product is better. I see these YouTubers using like 4 or more products for a wash and go, and all I could think of is that that's not a wash and go. LOL, that's a lot of work. And someone said, yes, I skip conditioner because I don't have time for all of that. I detangle, shampoo, and deep condition on wash days. That's it. Yeah. As far as how much product somebody uses in their hair, I think that's just their business, you know. I don't have anything against hair grease. I just don't use it. I don't really oil my scalp. The only time you'll catch me oiling my scalp is if I'm actually doing an oil treatment, but I really don't oil on my scalp, so I don't know. My scalp gets itchy when it's time for another wash, or like I'll start, just feeling like my hair needs to be washed, and then I'll wash it and it'll feel just fine. So that's how I feel. Someone wrote, I was told the very act of wearing my hair in its natural state was the cause of split ends and stagnant growth. So fully swearing off heat may not be a good ideal. So, okay, because I'm going to unpack this. For me, I have to be careful when I wear my hair like in its natural state. As you guys see, I will keep it in braids, right? And not that I don't love wearing my hair out and just like letting it do its thing because it's really beautiful, but when your hair is just out, even in this state, the ends can tangle around itself. They can get knotted, and basically, yes, that can cause breakage. It can cause split ends. So, and fairy knots. Oh my gosh, fairy knots. So that is why when I have my hair, especially in its natural state, I tend to keep it in a braid or a bun or in pulled styles where it elongates it, so it makes it harder for it to wrap around itself, cause knots and breakage, and of course fairy knots. So I understand that. Just know that you don't have to use heat to avoid those things, but if you want to, that's fine. Let's see what the reply said. Someone said, really? Maybe that makes sense if your ends are, try. That's like saying we shouldn't wear the hair that grows from our scalp out and about. And okay, I understand what she's saying. You definitely can wear your hair out and about, but just know what type of hair you have and know what some of those repercussions are. For me, some of the repercussions are split ends, fairy knots, and breakage. So yeah, you just have to be careful. Someone said, when I kept my hair straightened all the time, it was mid-back length, borderline waist length. I've been fully natural for about 5 years, and these days the flat iron only seems to get me to about bra strap length or slightly above once I've trimmed. First world, I know. So laying off the heat may have backfired on me a bit. Going forward, I plan to take a hybrid approach to my hair, stretched more often. For example, maybe 3 to 4 silk presses blowouts a year instead of just one, and some box braids into the mix for a few months out of the year. Everything in moderation, I guess. So like basically, I hear what they're saying, but I don't feel like it's going to take all of that. My whole thing is this: if you know you are prone to breakage and fairy knots more often, you can use heat to, sometimes to avoid that, but like also there are other things you can use to avoid it, like wearing your hair in stretch styles, like put it in a bun, put it in one braid, put it in 2 braids. Like those styles keep your ends stretched enough so that when you go to detangle the next time, they're not terribly savaged. And also too, you guys know I only detangle in the shower with loads of conditioner. So my hair being stretched in those braids or a high top knot bun or ponytail or whatever, plus loads of conditioner, makes a better environment for me to detangle. And I usually have no breakage at like pretty much at all. And of course, over time that builds up, because if you don't have breakage and you're just wearing your hair with the ends, like you're protecting the ends and the mid-lengths of your hair, then you don't have to really worry about that. So someone said, every time there's a new popular technique or approach to hair care, all of a sudden it's the only correct way. I'm tired of it. I use oils and leave-ins, and I deep condition with heat every wash day, and I only wash once a week or every 2 weeks. My hair is longer and healthier than most of the people telling me what I'm doing wrong. Just a few years ago, the only people with super long natural hair were those who used oils and butters religiously. Okay, so my problem with some of these posts is that they can come across very closed-minded. Here is the thing: there is not one way to be natural, and what may work for one person may not work for another. So I definitely agree with her with the whole new popular technique, and then everybody's doing it. An example of that was rice water, and then now boom, you really don't even hear about it anymore. Like a whole hair care company actually came out trying to capitalize off of rice water. That's how much the internet lost their mind. Again, that's her experience, so maybe she noticed that everybody who had longer hair was using butters and oils religiously. I don't use those things religiously, so I disagree with that. And I've seen an array of like YouTubers who have long natural hair, and they all have honestly really different, vast majority, they all have really different, vast hair care routines. Like they're not, like none of them are really the same. So I think it's trial and error, and I think it has a lot to do with technique. You guys know how I feel about hair products, and I'm going to say the things about oils and butters. It's not about what you're using than it is about your technique. I mean, like, obviously you don't want to be using bleach every week or relaxing your hair once a month, but at the same time, like, you can have like all these oils and butters and not have a technique and your hair not thrive. So yes, do what works for you, but understand that technique is important. It's so important. And so I'm gonna get one more. Let's see if we can find a juicy one. Someone says, if a routine takes you more than 4 minutes after washing, it isn't a wash and go. It may be amazingly healthy, make you look like a goddess on earth, and lift your spirits as you skip happily through the part of your day that isn't taken up with hair care. But they're not wash and goes. They're wash and do a hell of a lot of styling and works. Maybe up to 7 minutes, but that's the absolute limit. Again, that's very close-minded. I don't think I've seen anyone on YouTube of any race do a wash and go in under 4 minutes. A lot of women, you know, will wash their hair, put their leave-ins in, put their gel or mousse, may diffuse or whatever, but I don't think I've seen one that takes up to 4 minutes. Again, to each their own. It's an unpopular opinion, but I don't think I've seen one less than 4 minutes. Yeah, because most people want to make sure they have as much hold as possible so that they don't have to do the wash and go again within the next day or two. So to each their own. Okay guys, so this is the last one. Someone said, stop looking for advice on the internet and invest in a knowledgeable hairstylist who knows your hair to help you in your hair journey. I've wasted so much money on products that didn't work on my hair because I was focused on what different online opinions were, and I jumped headfirst into those. Find a trusted source who has physically worked with your hair. My hairstylist, who happens to be in my family, is the only person I trust with my hair. Okay, so that is a very unpopular opinion. And I will say this, I haven't been to an actual hair salon in years. I haven't relied on a hairstyle. Well, I don't think I've ever really relied on a hairstylist to like do my hair. I was always kind of like independent in that way, but I have gone to salons. I have gone to Dominican salons. I've gone to black salons to get my hair done, especially when I don't feel like doing it and I just want to pamper myself. I disagree. A lot of the things I found out about hair, I researched on the internet. Like I said, I do a lot of research. I don't just watch YouTube. I actually do read articles and journals. I read anything I can get my hands on. I don't agree with that. I think it's research, you know, and before I do things, I want to know the why. So if I'm gonna adopt a technique in my hair routine, I want to know the why behind it, because then it makes sense, right? So the whole rice water thing, in my mind, yes, is rice water probably beneficial for your hair? Yes, I think it has like protein in it. I'm not sure. It has protein, but so is a protein treatment, okay? Is it a lot more economical probably if you eat a lot of rice? Yes. I mean, I would imagine it's easier to make rice water if you eat that on a weekly basis than to go out and actually buy a protein treatment. But that's basically why rice water works for some people, is it's because it's a concentrated protein. You have to know the science behind things. You have to know the explanation behind things. And then once you know the why, then you can apply it or not, because you might find that it's not for you. So to each their own, but I find that you have to know the why. And once you know the whys, then now you're talking business. So yeah, guys, that's it. There's still more on here. I'll post it in the comment section below. So if you guys want to like look at the article yourself and just kind of like go through the section, I thought it was pretty funny. I had a good time reading through these. Again, some of them are very relatable. Some of them I don't agree with. They are unpopular opinions. So yeah, some people are gonna be like, what? Why would they say that? That's crazy. But they are unpopular opinions, and they're very valid because they're somebody else's experience. And it's just interesting, and it's eye-opening too. So if you have any unpopular opinions that you want to share, please just leave them down below. We'll talk. Other than that, I'll see you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.